What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, reviewing today The Crew 2. What makes a really good sequel? This is a complicated question without an easy answer, but for the most part, I think it comes down to trying to expand on the concepts that made the first game great. In this case, the original Crew was basically just trying to be a very groundbreaking open-world racing game, something where you could just cruise across the entire United States, going up and down every street, through forests, and even across the seas on big bridges, as long as it meant chasing that next big race. But here's the thing, it was a little bit thin at times, because it was constricted to just the main streets. In this one, it seems that they're trying to turn that on its head by introducing all sorts of new vehicles. The Crew 2 is a massively expanded game because, well, you can now drive boats, fly planes, get monster trucks. Really anything you can imagine is in some form in this game, but the thing that's really important is, are they fun to drive? Because if these were all just thrown in as filler content, it's not really worth your time. I want to say that for the most part, I'm actually quite shocked that this stuff does work so fluidly. These vehicles all control with a sense of speed. That's just an element that I feel like a lot of racing games kind of accidentally mess up nowadays, which is making it where going fast genuinely feels fast. When I'm going down a hill at 200 miles an hour and I hit a jump by accident, I need to feel like I'm actually soaring through the air and about to slam into the ground and keeping that momentum going. That is where the Crew 2 truly shines best. It tries to throw you in all sorts of different situations and then get you to adapt, whether it be off-road racing, going through swamps, or zigzagging between lighthouses in an airplane to beat your own best time. It's constantly shifting the rules of a particular race, but I do think that there is some good stuff and some bad stuff about this. First and foremost, I want to say that the controls are really solid, especially when it comes to just your typical ground races. At this point, the team behind the Crew project, they've had years and years to refine this art. They know exactly how a car is supposed to steer and exactly how much it should slide in a particular turn, and so because of it, when it comes to stuff like the drifting tracks or just the general races where you have a bunch of people all cramming in against each other on the street trying to get first place, those moments are stupendous. I really just had so much fun going down the road at full speed, trying my best to get any top rank. And you know what? I have to say that it really is cool that they've introduced so many different kinds of cars. I mean, it's not just about your really good old muscle cars or vehicles that you'd see in a European racetrack. No, they've also thrown in stuff like a Harley Davidson for a cross-country track at one point. We have to do a huge gauntlet zigzagging through all sorts of mountain paths until eventually you end up in first place or dump your bike and just crash horribly. Those moments are so good, but I have to say, it seems like they kind of messed up stuff when it comes to specifically the air stuff. When I get in a cockpit, suddenly there's this weird floatiness to everything that just doesn't quite make sense. If I had to sum it up in a word, I'd say that this game severely lacks force. There doesn't seem to be a true sense of weight, and you really are just slapped by that when it comes to trying to do the different air gauntlets. When you're trying to do these missions, basically you're tasked with trying to go through a series of checkpoints as quickly as possible and set a best time. You don't really just get to race against other planes. It's more of just trying to beat your own time trial. And when you're out there, there is something about it that just feels like you are controlling a robot. It doesn't really have that connection to it. You're just drifting along, absent of all sort of physics, wind, velocity. You're just kind of there. Something that goes along with this that really took me out of the experience is the way you can switch between different kinds of travel instantly. This is one of the big features they've thrown in, and I can tell that it was supposed to be really mind-blowing, but it never quite hits that note. At any time, by clicking down the stick, you can instantly switch between a land vehicle, a sea vehicle, or a sky vehicle. And that's really cool thematically. It really kind of looks very much like you're in some sort of crazy action movie, but it really kind of drives home the point that this is a very, very cartoonish experience. The fact that I can be cruising along at about 300 miles an hour in an airplane, swooping over a forest, and then instantly transform into a dirt bike, drop into a city, and be absolutely fine, it seems so fake. Now, I'm not asking for realism in this game, but so many other aspects of this manage to be extremely tight, keeping together this sense of physics and logic, keeping you on the track, in the intensity, and trying to fight just for one more place up in a particular race. And then suddenly, you have these moments that are just so surreal. It seems like they'd never actually tried to see what would bounce, what would work, or how this would just feel when you're actually hitting the ground running. I feel like so much of this game, it tries to be exuberant and try and be really, really cool and different, and I don't know if it fully connects. With that being said, I do want to say that the speedboats are something that really kind of impressed me because they are actually quite tight. You can really get a feel for it because they control very differently than your standard ground-based vehicle. Instead, you're having to worry about the waves, tide, using your boost, weaving in and out of not just your opponents, but really the ebb and flow of the ocean itself. And some of the tracks they've made specifically for the boats have you flying off dams, hitting jumps, and doing some really eccentric stuff like that. I like all this because it really makes it where you're put in the seat and kind of given a chance to learn it without too many guiding hands. You're really kind of just expected to try a race over and over again and figure it out through trial and error. If you do manage to win a couple objectives, this is when you start getting loot, and it's probably the part of this game that I like the most because it's so simplified. This game does not bother trying to explain anything about the actual mechanics. Instead, you basically just get little loot crates that when you open up give you random prizes that'll upgrade your exhaust, your gearbox, or just your general acceleration, braking tires, things like that. You don't have to worry about any of the specifics though because they literally just give you a special ranking on it. It almost feels like equipping items in Destiny, and it's so simplistic that it really functions nicely. While all the things like equipment upgrades and general driving are so stellar, there is two extremely big flaws to this game that dramatically hurt the experience. First and foremost, I have to say that while the loot is really well done and the upgrade system in general is quite smart, I think that it's really dumb that you can buy stuff with real money. You can actually go in and as you're winning races, spend your cash to buy better cars. In fact, this is actually required at certain points. As you rank up, you need to buy special planes, special boats, and monster trucks in order to compete in new events. Well, these things can cost hundreds of thousands of in-game dollars or crew bucks. These are something that are purchased with real-life money, microtransactions. And what's really annoying is that it's definitely in there because it just makes it where you can skip to the end so easily it drives me nuts. Grinding to get the best vehicles requires you repeat tracks over and over again, saving up your earnings until eventually you get enough to try and buy that really big, epic vehicle that you can hop in the driver's seat in and love. However, if you are somebody who does not want to repeat hours and hours of content, well, there is a shortcut. Putting in your credit card number and instantly getting the absolute best car in the entire game right at the start. You can literally pay to win in this game, and anything that does that, even if it is optional, is so aggravating to me because you're literally trying to incentivize skipping your own game design. The other aspect of this that is just so weird, I do not understand, is that there isn't multiplayer. It is possible to co-op certain missions by joining together with somebody, but it makes it where you can just basically win that race even easier. You'll be like 2 people or 4 people in a race, and if any of you come in first, it counts as a win. There is not competitive racing. I cannot just get in a random lobby lobby with a bunch of people and have some fun. It's not possible. The complete lack of any ability to race others kind of takes a lot of the fun out of upgrading my cars and planes, because I know that all I'm ever going to be able to race against in an actual hot-headed nature is NPCs. This stuff does really dull the intensity of the action of this game, but it doesn't outright ruin it. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving The Crew 2 an 8 out of 10. If you are somebody who is a die-hard lover of racing games, I certainly say that you gotta pick this up. It's not particularly long and something that may not get you invested for months and months at a time, but it's something that I feel like it's gonna sit on your shelf and you're gonna go back to it from time to time, because it's just gonna keep getting updated with new cars, new tracks, and theoretically in December we'll finally get some real multiplayer. So at that point, it's just gonna be finally a complete game. If you want, definitely wait for this to be on sale, but it's something that's certainly worth picking up. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad, and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.